Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Na'madahu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. Viewers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us about His qualities in the Quran. If He did not tell us who He is, we would not know what His powers are. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that He knows everything, He sees everything, He hears everything. He's aware of every creation, and no human being can even imagine the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, throughout history, human beings have been deceived into thinking that some person, something, somebody other than Allah is God. But they don't understand that only Allah has the power which no human, no creation has. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always existed and always will exist. People cannot say that about the others. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not get tired, He doesn't sleep, He's not dependent on His creation. All the creation is dependent on Allah. This cannot be said about any human being. Human beings get tired, they are born, they die, they get old, they get sick. So human beings have failings, human beings have problems. They are dependent. No human being, no matter how rich, powerful, strong he still is dependent on others. And his power, his abilities are very limited. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone has unlimited power, unlimited abilities. So the question is, how did idol worship, how does shirk start? And of course, this starts with ignorance of human beings, that they attribute qualities of God to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They give this, they believe that somebody or something other than Allah has the power to harm them or to give them benefit. And that's why they turn to them for help. It could be the sun, the moon, the stars, some personalities, some superhuman beings. It could be anybody. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent prophets throughout history to guide humanity to the true path, which is that only Allah is worthy of worship. No human being, no creation is worthy of worship. So we know from history that idol worship or polytheism has been part of human societies since early times. And we know that when prophets came to explain monotheism, the true God, the true worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, many of them understood and they came to Islam. Like the story of Ibrahim al-Islam is mentioned, that he saw the sun and he thought this was God. But when the sun set, he realized that this could not be God. So the whole argument is given when he went through this process, but then he came to the conclusion that the one who created them is the true God who is worthy of all worship. So idol worship is a result of human ignorance, because human beings do not know the qualities of the true God, the true Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the clarification. The Quran keeps reminding people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to do all things. He has control over His creation at all times. He is not negligent. He is not oblivious of His creation even for a second. the fact that he gives people control, the choice to choose between right and wrong, does not mean that Allah has lost control over them. So this is a lesson for all to remember that all the prophets came and taught true monotheism, right from the first prophet Adam alayhi salam to the last prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The question sometimes comes up is, how did Judaism and Christianity come into being when Islam was the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam, it was the religion of Nuh alayhi salam, and all the prophets. So how did Judaism come and how did Christianity come? Because the Quran mentions Ibrahim alayhi salam was not a Jew or a Christian. So his religion was Islam, and the religion of Yaqub alayhi salam, Isaac alayhi salam, the descendants of Ibrahim alayhi salam, were all Muslims. So how did Judaism come and how did Christianity develop? And the answer is very simple. When Isa alayhi salam came, Jesus came into this world about 2,000 years ago, the people of that time divided into different groups. One group rejected him, did not accept him as a prophet of Allah, and they came to be known as Jews or the followers of Judaism. Another group accepted Isa alayhi salam as God. They started thinking that he was God in human form. And this group came to be called Christians. And another group believed that he was a prophet of God. He was sent by God. He was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide people to the true path. And this group was the group of Muslims. So at that time, the three groups, they split up. The true followers of Isa alayhi salam were the Muslims who believed that he was sent by God. He was not God. He was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide the Bani Israel, his people, the tribe of Israel. The tribe of Israel, he was sent to them to guide them to the path of truth. And some of these people, the Bani Israel, did not accept him. So they formed their own religion, which is till today called Judaism. And the other group that deified him, gave him divinity or part of divinity, that group stuck to that belief and is still sticking to that belief that he was God in human form. So the third group that considered him and still considers him to be a truthful messenger, truthful prophet of Allah, is the group called Muslims. So the descendants of Ibrahim alayhi salam, who was a Muslim, split into three groups. One became Judaism, one became Christianity, and one became Islam. And these three groups exist even to this day. So these are the followers or considered to be the Abrahamic faith, the faith that originated or that came up from the children of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So the challenge for mankind today is that there is polytheism, which has many different forms, the belief in many gods, and there is Judaism and Christianity and Islam. The Christians believe that Jesus came and he died for the sins of the people, and anyone who believes in him is saved. While the Jews believe that they are the chosen people of Allah and only they are saved. And the Muslims believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent messengers and books, and anyone who believes in that, in those books, follows the instructions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the teachings of the prophets, they are the ones who are saved. So this discussion or this dialogue keeps going on between these different groups. And sometimes people forget that these groups, which we call Judaism and Christianity, originated only about 2,000 years ago, at the time of Isa al-Islam. Before that, the true believers did not differentiate between the prophets. The children of Israel, Ibrahim al-Islam, or Abraham, as he is known in the Bible, they all believed in the one true God, and they followed the books sent by God, sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But with the coming of Isa al-Islam, the division became very pronounced, and it exists till this day. And this is why the Quran goes great length to talk about what happened to the people at that time who refused to follow Isa al-Islam, and what happened to the people who misinterpreted the teachings of Isa al-Islam. So the two groups, one completely rejected him, they went astray, and the other group accepted him as God, and they went astray. So this discussion, which goes on with Muslims and Jews and Christians from time to time, is basically about the interpretation of the scholars or the institutions, how they viewed the coming of Jesus. So it was the coming of Jesus that brought about the split, or brought about the division in the descendants of Ibrahim al-Islam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the criterion. The Quran is a criterion. It's a book that teaches how to solve this puzzle. What actually happened, and what is the truth. So Rasulullah came and explained to the people, and many Jews and many Christians accepted Islam when they saw the truth coming out, the true worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Isa al-Islam did not claim divinity, and Isa al-Islam, of course, was a prophet of Allah. His virgin birth, his miraculous birth is mentioned in great detail. There is so much mention of Isa al-Islam in the Quran and in the Hadith that one would not find that in the Christian sources. There's not enough information about him in the Bible or in the Christian literature as there is in the Quran and the Hadith. And of course, the Quran talks at great length about the Jews who refused to accept Isa al-Islam as a prophet of Allah. So the whole history, so to speak, is mentioned. And this is, of course, for those people who are truly interested in knowing where the split occurred and how one religion became three religions, and from three religions so many different sects. This is a matter of research. People should look into that, those who are really interested in finding out where things went wrong and how different leaders, church leaders and other religious leaders, they misguided their people in the wrong direction and continue to do so. This is something that students of religion should look into in schools and colleges, universities that teach a course on religion, and people get the impression that these are all religions, and they just developed without going into the detail as to how they developed and how they sprang up. They don't get into that discussion. They just explain that this is Hinduism, and this is Buddhism, and this is Islam, and this is Christianity, and this is Judaism, but they don't get into the discussion of how these things happened. They don't get into the discussion how polytheism developed. And it is said that polytheism or idol worship started from pictures, from statues, from images. The people, when somebody important died, say a king or someone, a well-known person, people would make statues, people would make their pictures and hang them on the walls, put them in public places. And people started believing that these individuals who lived in the past had some special powers. And especially if the king died, his son or someone who took his position put his statue in a public square and made an announcement that anyone who comes here will be given rewards, benefits. So people started associating rewards with that image, with that statue, with that statue of stone or wood or whatever. So this started a belief system that anyone who has this miniature statue in his house or a picture of this will be blessed. So one superstition led to another, and it became a religion. So people started thinking this: if you put this image in your house, you will start getting this. If you put this image, this will happen, and so and so. So this is a god of power, and this is a god of life, and this is a god of this, and So one thing led to another, and before you know, it just so many different types of polytheistic faiths sprang up. So if somebody had some special qualities, some human being, some king, somebody said, well, if you have his image or his picture, you will get those same qualities. So it started a superstitious belief system. So this is how the religions, this is how Islam gets distorted. So the prophets would come and explain to people that this image, this picture, this human being doesn't have any power. The true power is Allah's power. He's the one who has all control. So they come to clear out that confusion from the minds of the people and to bring them to the right path. So some followers of Isa al-Islam fell into that trap and started thinking he was God and started putting his pictures and images and thinking that this will bring blessings to them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to test people, He does let them get those blessings, and they start believing, and it reaffirms their faith that this is how it happens. So, and this happened with the other groups also. They put images and they put pictures, and certain good things started happening, so they reaffirmed their faith that this is how it works. But this is all a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He tests people in different ways. So some people who started believing that Jesus was God and started those practices, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed them to continue in that. Allah, if He wants, He can stop, but He gives people the free choice to do as they wish. So that's why the knowledge of the Quran is very important, to know right from wrong. The Quran is a criterion. It's a way to know which is the truth. So everybody claims to have the truth. Everybody claims to be on the right path. But then Allah has given people intelligence. He has given them guidance to use that mind. And Quran condemns this practice that people say, where we found our fathers, our ancestors, so we will just do what they did. Just because people in the past have been doing something wrong, that doesn't mean people should continue to keep doing wrong. They should use their mind, they should use their intelligence, and then make a decision. So we ask Allah to give us an understanding of the truth. Wa akhirat dawana in alhamdulillah rabbil alameen.